You're listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show provides listeners with an insider perspective of Texas A&M athletics and its greatest supporters. This podcast will bring you exclusive interviews with coaches, athletes, donors, and the dedicated staff of Aggie Athletics and the 12th Man Foundation. You ready? Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. This is your host, Ivy Robinson, and today I am sitting in studio with Texas A&M basketball student athlete Pharrel Payne. Thanks for joining us on the show today, Pharrel.
Yep, no problem.
To kick off this episode, can you first just introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us where you're from and a unique fact about yourself that maybe you think not a lot of people know.
My name is Pharrel Payne. I'm from Cottage Grove, Minnesota. A unique fact about myself is I'm pretty good at dancing.
Really? Okay, what kind of dancing? We've got to know.
All the above.
All the above?
Yeah.
Okay, like
I would say specifically TikTok dances.
TikTok. Okay. My mind wasn't even going there.
Let's just say goofy dancing.
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
So have you gone viral on TikTok for any dances?
No, I don't actually post on TikTok.
Okay.
I kind of see stuff and I just dance.
There you go. That's super unique. Okay, Pharrel, tell us about your upbringing in Minnesota. Tell me about your hometown, what it was like, and tell me about your family.
So parents from Cameroon, Africa, moved here to the United States. I had me, my brothers. I have one older brother, and then I have one younger brother. It's us three. Growing up, I always learned hardworking through my parents because coming from Cameroon, Africa, they had to kind of restart their lives here. So that's something I always instilled into my own life.
Very neat. When did you first start playing basketball?
So, I always dribbled the basketball around on the driveway with my brothers growing up. But I'd say I didn't really start playing basketball until like high school. That's when I started taking it serious and trying to get better at basketball.
Did anyone in your family, like your parents, or did you have a close family friend that really encouraged you to pursue basketball throughout junior high, high school?
I would say like my middle school friends, because in middle school they would try to push me to sign up for basketball and stuff, but I wasn't really into it at that point. But they were like, you're much taller than everybody, you probably should do something with it.
They were like, hey, come be on my team.
Yeah, so it's kind of like my friends pushing me into it, and I enjoyed it. So
Yeah. Tell me about your older and younger brother. How have they shaped you as a person today? And do they also play basketball?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So I have an older brother. His name is Roderick Payne. He plays at Western Illinois. So growing up, it's kind of me versus him. That's how I got better at basketball. Another person that's the same size as you that you can go against and learn things. I have a younger brother. His name's Ethan. He's still in 8th grade, but yeah, he does play basketball. Kind of growing up with them, it's kind of like butting heads all the time. I'd say one thing in our household that really annoyed me about my brothers is that eating all the food because of the same size as me. But yeah, kind of butt heads with them growing up, but love them.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about middle school, that you weren't really into basketball, at what point did that change?
I'd say towards 8th grade year, going into high school, started playing basketball more and more with my friends that would play like traveling and stuff like that. And then I really got into basketball in high school. I tried to make the change, and I say that because I was a little bit chubby when I was younger, and I started taking it seriously, eating right, and really playing basketball.
What was your favorite part about your hometown and the community there?
I'd say the support. Everybody kind of knowing you around town. That's like open arm support from the whole community, and it goes a long way, especially when you're trying to do things that haven't happened in the community. Because where I'm from, I believe we had a Division I player that went to the U of M, same route as me because I was priorly at the University of Minnesota. But besides that, I believe me and him are the 2 Division I players in like the last like 20-something years that to come out of Cottage Grove, Minnesota.
Yeah, so you're really paving that way and like helping create a legacy there. That's awesome. Tell me about your recruitment process when you were in high school, how you ended up at the University of Minnesota.
What it was for me, it's just wanting to stay home near my family. I felt like that was a good idea as a young kid that hasn't really been away from home. So that's how I kind of ended up there.
Did you consider like any other opportunities?
The other school I was considering was Texas A&M, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I ended up just staying home and playing it safe.
Yeah. Let's talk about your time at the University of Minnesota. How do you think you really developed as a player there?
I always say this about how I developed. So my freshman year at the University of Minnesota, we had some injuries, so I was kind of thrown into the fire. Like as a true freshman, I had to play a lot. I think I averaged like 23 minutes a game. So that's how I was able to develop, was kind of on the fly. And then the next year I played a little bit more, and that's how I'd say I developed into the person I am today.
Yeah. So you immediately right off the bat were like, okay, I'm used to the pressure. I'm used to stepping up to the plate.
Yep.
When you decided to come to Texas A&M, what was it about this university that really caught your attention, and why did you ultimately decide to transfer here?
I'd say for me was Coach Williams. He was the first person to come see me on the first morning of me being able to even visit with any schools. And what he had to say kind of hit home. He talked about the basketball side of things, but he actually talked about how he can grow you as a man and help you for your life. So I like that stuff.
Had you ever heard that from another collegiate coach, or was that unique?
No, it's usually all basketball, but he kind of went a little ramble about what he can do for your life and the things he can teach you. And he made the point of basketball, when the ball stops bouncing, what are you going to do for your life? And that's what I really liked.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of student athletes don't focus on that part, the future? Like, do you think it's unique to Texas A&M basketball that the program is focused on developing y'all as athletes, but also as outstanding individuals for the future and for when the time that the game comes to close, right?
Mm-hmm. And I'd say that's a big thing he preaches. I feel like often athletes just kind of push off schoolwork and like other things in life, that sports is the only route. But I feel like Coach Williams has made an atmosphere on our team where it's not always basketball and it's not always going to be basketball, but you got to become a man and do right by yourself.
Okay, when you got to Texas A&M for the first time, what were your initial impressions of College Station, the university? Did anything like shock you?
Well, I haven't been to a school that's like, I'd say really good at sports. And what I meant by that, it's like when I got here in the summer, baseball was doing really well, and like the attention they were getting was insane. And like just kind of to see that and be a part of it, I was like, well, I've never witnessed something like this before.
Yeah. Big time college athletics here at Texas A&M, that's for sure. You've now established yourself as a major contributor to this year's team. When reflecting on the season so far, what have you enjoyed most about being a part of Texas A&M basketball?
I'd say the brotherhood that we've built, just being with my teammates, going out there and fighting against other teams every single night. I'd say I enjoy that, just being with my guys.
When you got here, how did the returners, I'm curious, and veterans treat you? How did they welcome you in and help you adjust to the program and just living in College Station?
I'd say it's an open arms welcome. Spent the first couple of months just trying to understand things. Everybody taking me under their wing so they can catch me up to speed on their system.
I'm sure like adjusting to life in College Station was a big transition, right? You know, weather for one, that comes to mind, Minnesota to Texas. Has there been anything else that's been difficult or just?
I would say my teammates definitely made it easier, having people to teach me the ways and, hang out with. But yeah, I'd say the weather was the biggest thing for me, because when I first got down here, honestly, it felt like 100 degrees every single day of the summer.
Yeah.
And that's different coming from a place where it's like 60s and 70s in the summer.
Yeah, you got here during the hottest part of the year. Yeah.
And that was tough.
Yeah, and the humidity is pretty tough here as well. What's the high in like Minnesota, where you're from?
So, I mean, it can get hot, like
But not this
90s
hot.
but it won't stay like that. Every single day down here, I was looking at it and it said, with the humidity plus the weather, it's going to be over 100 degrees. And every single day I felt like I couldn't step outside, which
Were
is
you like,
different.
I can't survive in this condition?
Yeah. I'm used to it now, but it was tough when I first got here.
Man. Going back to just your growth and development as a player throughout college, do you think there are any specific seasons, coaches, or individuals who help prepare you for SEC level play and where you are today?
I'd say help prepare me for SEC play was my teammates, because Preseason practices were pain in the butt. I said we compete super hard against each other. It's like we're all just hitting each other, trying to get that ball, and just playing against them every single day kind of prepared me for what's coming ahead. And then obviously our preseason schedule is pretty rugged as well. That prepared me for SEC conference play.
Right. Yeah, like y'all played Purdue, which that was a close game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, those big games like Purdue, Oregon, playing Texas Tech, all those teams were a good way to prepare us for the season.
What does Buzz call that preseason? Does he call it boot camp?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Tell us about boot camp.
So boot camp was, I'm going to just say it wasn't really fun at all. It's a lot of running, just getting in shape for the season. It's a mental thing, I would say, more than physical. Even though there's a lot of running, you'd say it's physical, but just being able to mentally push through it was the big part. And once you have that, I feel like you can hit the season head on.
Pharrel, what are you studying here? What's your major? We talked about academics earlier and the importance of getting an education, why it's important to not only pursue the sport you love, but here at Texas A&M, you're getting a world-class education that'll benefit you in the future. So what are you studying?
So my major here is gender studies, and it's gender studies because they didn't have the exact major that I had for my previous school. So with gender studies, I'm still trying to get all my science prereqs done, whether it's in the summer or, actually during the semesters. But I'm trying to get my science prereqs done because hopefully you can qualify for medical school at some point.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. What made you want to pursue a medical degree?
Just wanted to help people, and specifically my parents, because my mom is a nurse practitioner, my dad's a nurse. So
yeah,
kind of that route I saw while I was growing up. Just want to kind of follow in their footsteps and stuff.
Yeah. Going back to your parents, you mentioned that they really displayed what it looks like to work hard, right? Is there any specific memory or moment that you have when you saw your parents maybe go the extra mile to help you or to help your family?
Well, I'd say there's tons of moments I remember growing up where there was hard times and you kind of have to work hard and push through it. I remember moments like growing up where my mom was working at, I think, a group home, and like no heat in the car. It's middle of winter. It's like maybe 2 degrees while taking classes at the same time and still having to take care of us. Just seeing her work hard like that pushed me to work hard as well.
Being able to juggle and balance all of those demands, that's incredible. Going back to your classes now, what you're studying, are there any professors or courses that you've taken that have really made an impact on you so far?
I would say there's a class I took. It's called African Diaspora. It's about the migration of African-American people all over the globe. And I think that was a pretty interesting class that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some personal mottos or values that you personally live by?
I'd say one that was inspired by one of my teammates, his name's Manny, is JKG, which is just keep going.
Just keep going.
I'd say through hard moments, if you keep that in your mind or at your heart, you're able to just keep going, essentially.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. And for those listening to this podcast episode right now, Manny Obaski has also been a guest on this show, and we were able to talk to him about that motto and where it originated and how it's kept him going literally throughout the seasons and throughout hardships and through the valleys and mountains of life. And that's awesome that it's now passed on to you. Yeah, that's great. Are there any other guys on the team that have made you a better person or player?
I can go up and down the line. I'd say all the guys. I'd say everybody has like equal input. I would say whether it's Wade giving me insight on and off the court, or Henry Coleman, or even talking to somebody like Zurich Phelps, just seeing what they see on the court and them giving their insight about what I can do to, contribute.
Yeah. I have to bring this up. The road game against Missouri, you connected on 7 of 9 shots and hit 6 free throws to secure a game-high 20 points. And Henry Coleman had a career high of 16 rebounds, including 4 off the offensive glass. Together, y'all helped score 38 points in the paint. Can you walk us through your perspective of that top 20 matchup game and just the overall atmosphere?
That was the main thing I was going to talk about, was the atmosphere. It was insane. I remember they had a transition dunk to tie it, and the arena absolutely erupted. Just playing in an atmosphere like that was super exciting and fun. I'd say opportunity to compete, and it was one of the best I've ever had.
How did y'all stay calm as a team when that transition dunk happened? Like, how do y'all stay grounded, when the environment is out of your control, right? Like, how do you stay focused?
We've been in those type of environments before, so we just kind of stay cool and collect and huddle together and talk about what we're going to do.
Yeah. What have you learned from playing alongside Henry?
I would say I've learned a lot about our system. Specifically, he's a big guy of rebounding, and he kind of taught me the ways of how to get in there and rebound, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And then I'd say off the court, he's always striving to be a better person, a better man. So to just see the way he looks at life definitely helps me kind of apply that to myself.
What would be your best advice to a young basketball player who plays in the forward position, who is aspiring to play the game in college?
My advice now would be just keep going. And I say that because there's always going to be hard times. I've been through injury. I've been through, just being down. But you actually have to just keep going. Eventually it gets easier.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your injury. Was that when you were at Minnesota?
So, yeah, at the University of Minnesota, I had a minor fracture in my foot to start out this season. And getting back after that was tough, and it was slow. But eventually, if you just keep working at it and just keep working hard, it'll get easier.
Mm-hmm. Pharrel, what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
So I'm a big music guy. I just like listening to music. Sometimes I just, sit on the couch all day and just watch music videos or just listen to music.
Yeah, I love music as well. Do you listen to Spotify or Apple?
Apple Music.
Okay, you're Apple. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm a Spotify girl, and when the Wrapped comes out at the end of every year, the amount of minutes that I listen to music is astonishing. I'm almost kind of is this normal? Because this is a lot. I'm always in the top 5% of music listened.
What was your minutes?
Oh, can I pull it up? Let's see. Okay, let's pause and I'll find it.
Last year I was at 222,000. That's almost always playing music.
Oh my gosh.
2,000 minutes.
So my minutes listened, I just looked this up on my Spotify, was 84,663. Yeah. So you definitely got me beat. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Yeah. So I was in the top 2% of listeners worldwide. You were top 1%. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, wow. Favorite artists?
I'd have to go with some Afro artists like Rema, and I would say Asake as well. So nice. I listen to a lot of African music. I listen to everything, honestly.
Nice. All right, Pharrel, we've covered a lot of topics. I want to ask you specifically about name, image, and likeness. Can you share how NIL opportunities have personally impacted your life?
Well, first of all, I'd say this. So growing up, I saw my cousin play football before the NIL era, and it's kind of you don't have the means to pay for things and get groceries and stuff. So I'd say my family would have to help out, my mom sending them money or my aunt sending him money. And I just say it gives us the opportunity to be able to kind of support yourself, and the support is everything.
Yeah, because y'all dedicate so much time to practice, to games, to being an athlete that it's hard. Y'all can't have a part-time job. I mean,
yeah, no way.
So from that perspective, absolutely, I can see how it's extremely beneficial to support yourself throughout your student athlete experience. Do you think NIL opportunities have opened any unexpected doors for you beyond just financial gain?
I mean, where I am now was obviously unexpected. I never in 1,000 years back in high school would think that I'd be where I am today. But I'd say just that door of support, just being able to support yourself is big.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking of support, 12 Man Foundation donors, who many of them are listening to this podcast episode right now, they help support student athletes through philanthropic giving and help support many of the resources that student athletes have access to today, such as sports medicine, mental health, nutrition, facilities, marketing opportunities. All of those resources are made possible through their contributions. Can you tell us how those resources have impacted your experiences at Texas A&M?
Well, I'd say it's a piece to a puzzle. You're talking about the mental health resources and nutrition and stuff like that. That's all stuff you need to keep the athletes going. And I'd like to thank them for that as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, what is your message of gratitude and how do you perceive the level of support that Texas A&M student athletes have. Like, you've played at other universities, so what is it like to experience the support of the 12th Man, the support of 12th Man Foundation donors and season ticket holders?
First of all, I'd like to say it's overwhelming. I love y'all. The support goes a long ways, and it means the world to me, honestly.
All right, Pharrel, so what are your future goals beyond your time at Texas A&M? Tell us about that.
Obviously, like I talked about, eventually I want to go to medical school. I think after the ball starts bouncing, I'd like to come back to college and kind of finish where I started. But that's one of my main goals after basketball.
That's awesome. And why are you proud to wear the maroon and white and be an Aggie now?
I'd say to go out there and do it for the fans, the people that support us, night in, night out, no matter what. I'd say that's the reason I'm proud to put on the jersey.
That's awesome. Is there anyone you would like to specifically give a shout out to on this episode?
I'd like to give a shout out to my coaches and my parents. Without them, I wouldn't be here today.
Pharrel Payne on Answering the Call podcast. Pharrel, thank you again for joining us on the show.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. A special shout out to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Hoffman, to 12th Man Productions and Texas A&M Athletics NIL Department. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M Athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.